guys. All right. I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit. So you guys, and that's the problem we're having this morning, is we're going to be clicking on and off, I think, through all this, which means my screen is blank too. I feel like I'm really loud, because when I start talking loud, it's going to get super loud. Okay, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought when I start speaking from right here, it was going to blow that mic out. How are you this morning? Good. You guys seem good. Yeah, it's cooling down, getting excited for the rain that's coming, hopefully, right? And that light is really bright. So thank you so much for having me this morning. I help career seekers all the time. Okay, so any questions that you have today, ask. Everything and anything. When you ask questions in this state, you're going to get 10 answers from 10 different people. So you got to figure out what's right for you in the stage that you're in and what's going to work for you. The biggest advice I can give you is if it's not working, stop doing it. All right? If it doesn't work for you, stop doing that. Find something that works for you. Assess it every single week. Is this working? Is it not working? Is this working? Is this not working? If it's not working, you gotta find something else to do so that you can move really, really fast, okay? So when I work with people in transition, the first thing I do is a strengths assessment. And the reason I do that is so that, one, we can understand who you are. And when I say we, it's me and you. Because some people are going, I don't know who I am anymore. I worked for this job for 30 years and I don't have a clue who I am and what I want to do next. And, I've been so consumed, heads down, doing this job, I don't even know what's next. So step one is let's get you understanding, what do you want to do? What is your purpose? What do you want to contribute to over the next 5-10 years? And what do you want to work towards? I also do it because I need to know how to interact with you in a meaningful way. Because if I'm giving you advice and telling you to do something in a way that doesn't work for you, you're not going to do it. So that's really key, because you get a lot of advice in this stage of your life and you don't know what advice to listen to and which ones to throw out the window. So if you know who you are and you know what works for you, then you can take certain advice and you can cater it to what's going to work really well for you. And then you can ditch the stuff that's just not going to work for you. So I'll give you an example. My brother is a master influencer. He can sell any of you on anything and you would feel great about it, okay? So when he gives me advice, he typically gives me advice in order to influence someone or to sell someone on something, and that's not my style. So if I were to do that and try to come out here and be like, hey, you guys, you need to do, you guys would be like, what's wrong with her? Like, that doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel authentic. It's whatever she's doing is not working for her. I have to come at it a completely different approach. I come at it from, I care about you, what's going on, how can I help you, what's going to be best for you. I'm not, so I can take his advice, I can hear what he says, but then I also have to go, how do I take that and turn it and make it work for me in a way? So the strengths helps you do that. The strengths will help you go, this is how I should be communicating who I am and what I'm about in order for it to resonate with someone else. Now, when you do that, what's the other obstacle in communication besides what you are saying and how you're communicating it? Yeah, the other person on the other end. So strengths also helps you learn how to ask questions about who's on the other end of that. And if I can understand who I'm talking to real quick in an interview, then I can start catering some of my language and what I'm saying to also help that other person understand who I am and what I'm about. The other thing that I love doing this for is because it will help you brand yourself as something. So when you say something, it pushes this energy out into the world, and then that will come back in. So if I stand up here and say, I'm a veterinarian, what do all you guys do? If you have an animal, all right, some of you say, I don't have an animal, I don't care. Others of you say, I have an animal, where are you, right? All of a sudden, and there's all these things that start happening. So I just pushed this thing out in the world, and now all of a sudden something's come back in. What are you all pushing out right now? How good is that attitude right now? Is it a good attitude or is it a crappy attitude? I mean, yeah, we don't have great days during this because it's not a fun thing, right? None of us sign up to be a professional job seeker. That's just not a fun thing. There are a few people who love it, but it's very, very rare, okay? So now you're having to buckle down and do something that you just really don't necessarily want to do. You have to, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Today we're talking about doing stuff you love. This is not it, right? So you're like, okay, so right now I have to do this thing and I'm gonna have to get support and get help, and then hopefully that will get me a job quickly so I can get out of this. Okay, so we have the strengths, we start to understand who we are, and we become self-assured and confident. Then we can communicate that to other people. Then we can start to understand who's on the receiving end of that. And if we understand that, then we're gonna have better results. And if we're pushing the right energy out into the world, then all that stuff should be coming back in. So even simply on a LinkedIn profile, what do you have out there? What are you telling somebody that you are, so that when they land on that, it says, I am this. What are they seeing? What are they reading? If you don't know, ask. You've got all these people in here. Say, can you look at my LinkedIn profile? And don't ask them a specific question like, is it good? Is it bad? They're going to tell you it's good. So I don't. You can ask me. I'll give you a very candid answer. But look and see what they see. Look and see when they type in what comes up. When you come on, what comes up? Like when I look at your profile, what do I think you are without knowing you? Like what is that? You're going to get some great feedback from people to understand what you're actually pushing out there into the world. Okay? All right, we had some wonderful volunteers today for this. This is a dynamic session. Every strength that we show today is going to be someone in the audience. Okay. Do I have a screen? Are we good? Or is it just, maybe it just slept here? Okay. So the first thing I want to show you, because someone brought this up before. Let's see here. This one. Can you see this? Okay, good. Now you can't? Now you can? Now you can't? Now you can? Okay, it says, how unique are you? So, anybody know? How unique are you? Close. Whoever said that back there. How many strengths are there in the Gallup-Clifton Strengths Assessment? 34. If I take the top 5 and I put them in order, and then I do that again, and I do it again, how many combinations of top 5 strengths are there in order? You can use whatever you want to get the job done. 33 million combinations, which means each one of you in here is 1 in 33 million people. How many people in the room? 70 people. There's not a single person like you in here. You got to meet 33 million people to find somebody just like you with the same top 5 in the same order. Why does order matter? What are you going to choose innately in a situation? Number 1 or number 5? Number 1. So one of the things about becoming strength intelligent is deciding what to use when. Because you got number 1 and number 5. You're both. You're not just one thing. You're number 1 and number 5. However, number 1 is usually more dominant. It's usually the one that feels good, gives you your little dopamine hits for the day. It's the one that engages the brain. And so we're going to lean into that. We're going to choose it. My number 1 is achiever. And I will tell you, I will choose to achieve over everything else in my life, which is good and bad, yes? It's good when it comes to achieving something. Very bad in relationships. Unless I'm achieving the relationship, right? So I have to be aware, is achiever the one I need to be using right now in this moment? Does that work for me? Or should I be using my relator? Should I pick up on my relator and start to flex that strength muscle and bring that out in this moment? Does that work? So one of the things we're also assessing is, what does the environment look like? And are my strengths working in that environment? Does anybody have a good example of when you've been able to use all of your strengths, things you were great at, and not just 1 or 2, but like, I could do this and this and this and this and this, and it was an amazing moment, an amazing job? Yeah, tell us.
I was a coach for 25 years, and as a basketball coach, my five are ideation, communication, learner, positivity, and self-assurance. So I had to be confident to get out there in front of people. I had to have an idea on what kind of offense or defense I was going to run. I had to communicate my vision, and I had to learn all about who I was working with, and I had to be positive to get the results.
Yeah. Can I have that, please?
Could you have what?
Give me that. Do you have your strengths on here? Okay, yeah. Okay. So, Ryan. This is Ryan, everybody. Say hi to Ryan. Hi. There you go. Ryan was a basketball coach, okay? His number one strength is ideation, which means he had to come up with all kinds of creative ways to do something. He's creative. You're creative. The second one is communication. So now we put them together and we say, okay, one, he probably loves to talk. Do you like to talk? Sometimes. He likes to talk. Loves to talk, but he's also a creative speaker because he's got ideas around what communication should look like. So the way I do this is I go, you're an ideative communicator, okay? But then I also flip it and I say he loves to communicate ideas. So when he gets to communicate to others this creative way of doing things, he's going to be super engaged. And then he said, I was a learner and I had to learn how to do, all these different things. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's strategy, maybe it's, the court play. Maybe I had to learn about each person on the team, but that learner was getting to learn about all these different things. He also got to learn about, as you're learning, you're maybe learning creative things to do, and you're also learning how to communicate better. He said that he needed to be very confident. Why is that important when you're able to have confidence as a basketball coach?
If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your team, who else is going to believe in you? And you got to get your team to buy into what you're doing.
And how old was the team?
I've had a variety, but high school.
Because you got parents too, right? So you got to be really confident dealing with those parents. They got to think you know what you're doing, okay? So self-assurance actually falls into an influential area of the strengths because if you're confident, people are going to follow you. They're going to say, he knows what he's doing. We're going to follow him. We're going to do it. It's only found 5% of the time across the world population that's taken the assessment. 5% have self-assurance. What does that mean for the rest of us? Okay, most people in here don't feel very confident. That's okay. We all have to work at feeling more confident. Self-assurance people, the way their brains go is they say, I want to be confident. I need to feel confident. I am confident. And if I don't feel confident, I'm going to quickly figure out how to get back to a place of confidence. And what they do is they have this internal compass that just guides them and says, this is the right thing to do. This is the right way to go. This is what we should be doing. This is how we're going to get to where we're going to go. It's like the captain of a ship. They just guide us for some reason. And then we all get on that ship and follow them. It's naturally influential. And then he said he has positivity as well. And positivity obviously is going to be wonderful as a coach. Okay, so he said, in this moment, I was able to use my ideation, my communication, my learner, my positivity, self-assurance. It all came together, got to use all of those things. And I'm assuming you had a great result. I'm assuming your team did very well. Okay, because he loved what he did. He got to flex all of those strengths. Do other people come and ask you to do more coaching as well?
I still coach.
I mean, because usually when we're flexing our muscles and it's seen by others, people are coming to us for those gifts as well. And all of a sudden we have, things happening around us because we're flexing the muscles, people are seeing it, and it's coming back in, okay? Thank you for sharing those with me. Yeah. Okay. Are we is this starting to click? Okay. Let's see if we can pull this back up. Okay. So we've gone through that. I'm going to make sure you guys know you're unique. Oh, we didn't talk about all 34 though. How many combinations of all 34? Oh, I really want the screen to come back up on this one. Come on, screen. 2.59 times 10 to the 36th power. That's a lot. How long do we typically live? 100 years, yes? 2.59 times 10 to the 36th power divided by 100 is what? 2.59 times 10 to the 35th power. And that's the number of lifetimes you got to live to find someone just like you. From a strengths perspective only, doesn't take your gender into consideration, doesn't take your upbringing and your experiences into consideration, doesn't take your religion into consideration, doesn't take what country that you're from into consideration. So you guys are so, it's shocking to me that we can all sit in a room together and get along because we're all really, really, really different, okay?
Yeah, there's people from OU in here.
Yeah. We've got to get this screen working here. Oh, it's working. Okay, can you guys see the screen yet? Is there any way we can work on this, somebody? Because it's just not working and I can't see the screen. Where's our technical guy? Come mess with it. We don't have a screen at all anymore. You know? Okay. Yeah. Pete said to me, he said, someday when you come here, everything's going to work perfectly. Because every time I come, we have something going on.
I also told you I didn't know when that day was.
Yeah. Okay, well, while he's trying to help figure that, oh, yeah.
What is your website? I haven't seen it, or are you going to get to it? Or?
Yeah, so I have two businesses, okay? I have my coaching, consulting, leadership stuff that I do. And then I also built a web application to go along with all of this. And so I actually have a little SaaS company now, which is kind of interesting, and I'm building more stuff for people. Yeah. And so if you have the Gallup Clifton Strengths, you can come to the site, which is www.strengthology.co. There is I actually just created a career seeker subscription for all y'all. It's minor. It's $12 for the whole year to get your insights, okay? But it is catered to career seekers. So it's got what job requirements should you be looking for? And what should you say in the interviews with your strengths? What should you be bringing up based on your strengths? So it's very catered to each individual in the room, and you can get, specific career seeker information from that if you already have your strengths. If you've never done the Strengths Finder before, you gotta go take it. Okay, it's from Gallup. They have an assessment that you gotta go take, 45-minute assessment, $60 to take the assessment. But then once you do that, you can that. And every single person in here can reach out to me. I will help every single one of you, right? All you gotta do is ask. You just gotta say, hey, can we talk? And I'll say, yes. It might be a few minutes, right? We go schedule it, but I will help every single one of you if you just ask. Yes.
One question about a strength finder is it's based on self-assessment.
Yes.
So how does it take into account to use it for career, to seek what you like, et cetera, et cetera? How does it take into account blind spots that you may have?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. So what I recommend is doing the full assessment that gets you all 34. Because you can think of each, so we have 34, right? You can think of each one, and I'm going to oversimplify this, as a neural pathway in your brain. It's actually many neural pathways that come together to produce something. And maybe we need to try another adapter. Does someone have an adapter with an HDMI that connects to a Mac with them? Oh, he does. Okay. Think of each strength as a neural pathway. You scared it. So these ones that are at the top is like an interstate. And you got traffic just flowing and moving on this interstate. I mean, it's amazing. The ones that are at the bottom are these little tiny back roads, right, in your brain. And it's hard to get to them, and they're awful, and they're windy, and it's miserable. And we don't even do them. We're just like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't like that. I don't believe in it. Someone else can do that, okay? So the best thing you do is do the full 34, stick it into here and go, okay, these are the things that I don't see at all. These are the things I don't think about at all. And it's so humbling to realize that people around you don't think like you, right? Like there's some people that have these strengths down here that are amazing at this. They think about it all day long. So when you realize what you're not thinking about and what you don't have and what is not working for you, all of a sudden you go, okay, well, how do I compensate for that? Do I need to get a partner? Do I need to hire somebody on my team to do that? Do I need to get a third party involved? This person may be, someone like this may be a really good partner for me. They may fill the gaps, but I might not like them because they're so different and they're all the things that I don't like. So now how do I work with this human has all these different things going on for him that I need, but I don't like. So then we got to go, okay, let me understand and, have compassion for what they have and what's different than me and figure out how do I interact with it effectively? And then how do I leverage it in what I'm trying to do? And how do we come to appreciate one another because we're both having something to offer, even though it may not feel great. Now, there are certain strengths that are wired to gravitate towards people more like them. Anybody have relator in the room? So relators want to relate, right? If you're like me and I understand you, that's very comfortable, that's very drawing, and I want to sit next to you and I want to talk to you because we can relate and sit there and talk about things that we both understand and get. Any individualizers in the room? Larry, raise your hand. Individualization, do it again. Okay, so a little bit less now, okay? They're the ones who actually really love different, unique people. Their group is going to be eclectic, the people around them. They work great globally, great multiculturally, because they're not scared of unique and different. They embrace it. They love it. It's so interesting to them, and they just want to be around it all the time in order to, they're fascinated, right? So it's like I get to know this person, and I don't put them in a box, but rather I get to know their uniqueness. So there's different types of people. Okay. What else? Any other questions while yeah.
So I took this test probably like 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Did they change?
Great question. So does anybody know, any early childhood development people, does anybody know when neural pathways fully form in your brain? Yeah. So from age 14 to 24, 25, your neural pathways are fully solidified. So that means, does that mean you can change after that? Yes. Does that mean that you can change the way you intake, process, and spit back out?
Probably not.
Hard to. Very difficult. Takes a lot of practice. You got to practice for a year or two to get neural pathways, to build the neuroplasticity, to get thinking differently than what you built from age 24, 25 on. So, to answer your question, it depends, right? How old you are. I think everybody in here is probably...
I'm leaving.
You are smarter than the machine, I know it.
Well,
I know it.
debatable at this point, but
Well, some go like that, don't they?
this is a test for the interview, and I'm not doing very well.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Well, you can't access the presentation, but you could access the, yeah. So I was going to tell you one more thing about your question here. So you don't really have to take it again is my whole point, right? If you only took the top 5 and you only have top 5, you can do an upgrade and it will release the rest, the 29 for you. Or you could retake it if you want to and just do the whole thing over again. But really, you only have to take it once, and what you want is the full 34. That gives us the bigger picture. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So like when I teach first finders, I'm always like, I need to be nice.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, you're still nice. I can feel it. But did they shift just in the top 10? Yeah. So that's normal, right? To have some shifts of priority, but your top 10 is still your top 10. Your brain is...
No, my main ones are the ones that change.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but do you know... So you have top 10. Did some of the ones from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shift up into top 5?
Yeah, my top 5 are what changed.
Yeah. So usually, okay, I'll give you all the examples that I have on this. So usually what you see is people's top 10 just kind of shift around a little bit as priorities and things change, but they are kind of who they are. And you can think of it like, if I was a mathematician, or if I'm not a mathematician, I'm not going to become a mathematician someday. It just doesn't work that way. Your brain is actually at its maximum power at age 2. And everybody does this from there. I'm so sorry to tell you this. That's what happens, okay? So all we're trying to do is decrease the rate of decline for our entire life. You know, if you're doing methamphetamines, okay, this is what you're doing right now. That's what's happening to your brain. So, and we can all build it up with nutrition, with exercise, with feeding it good stuff, with learning. Like, there's all kinds of things we can do to decrease the rate of decline in your brain. So I've had someone take it once, twice, thrice. First time, we had some good results, I thought. Second time was completely all over the place. Third time was all over the place, okay? And it was like, okay, you answered the questions. He answered the questions. He answered them differently 3 times in a row. And it was within a month, okay? So I said, quit listening to your parents. Quit listening to what the society says you need to be. Quit listening to what you think you should be. He had high strategic, by the way, so he's manipulating the assessment. Okay? What'd you say?
How do I make this?
Yeah, how do I make it look the way I want to so that I can show it to someone and say, these are my results, right? I mean, it's obvious what he was doing. I said, just take it for you, like no one else is gonna see this. I'm not kidding you guys, he got the same set of the first time. 1, 2, 3, in the same order, okay? The 4th time he took it. So I do believe in the first time. I had another one recently. This was so crazy. She had the same thing. Took it over 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, got different results every time. And it's like, literally got like 34 up into top. And you're just like, yeah, no, that's not how this is not how it works. I've done, you know, that's like 0.5% of the people that I work with would have that happen. Everybody else has consistent results. So I asked her, to your point, what were you doing at this time? What were you doing at this time? She was a morpher. So the first time she was on a sales team and she looked just like a salesperson. And the second time she was on a data and analytics team and she looked just like a data and analytics person. And the third time they took it, it was someone that asked me to take it, to have her take it, and she looked just like him. It was crazy. It was crazy. So that's hard to help them because it's like, who are you really? I mean, obviously you're a morpher, okay? But that doesn't help us figure out who you are to where we can help you be really self-confident and embrace your strengths and get you in the right position. And when I met her, because you know I've done this for 4,000 or 5,000 people now. When I met her, I thought she was communication, woo, positivity. And you know how I know that, right? Because when she called me, she was like, hello! And I'm like, whoa, 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 right? My introversion was like, whoa, okay. I'm like, she's got to have positivity, woo, communication, something going on here, right? And it was up, you know, and that's what her first result was the communication, positivity, woo side of her personality coming up. I have had someone take it in a different language. They were raised in Chile, and they spoke Spanish growing up. They took it in English when they first got to America. She retook it later in her own native language. And so there was one strength that popped up, and we did think that was more accurate than what she had had before. So I've had that happen. Any other experiences that you guys have had? Okay. Oh, yeah.
For me, it wasn't me, but it was someone else, and she had something traumatic.
Yes.
Her life
Trauma can affect the results.
changed.
Like if you're in an abusive relationship and you take it, you're completely screwed up, right, in the way that you're processing things. And so you're gonna take it in a way that's not necessarily gonna be what's real and authentic and normal to you. Yeah.
I haven't taken the assessment yet, but I know in other assessments, your mindset of what you're thinking about, like if you're thinking
Yeah.
business when you take it, you'll
Yeah.
rather than personal.
Yes.
How do you recommend
Yes.
You approach I haven't taken it yet.
Yes.
How do you approach it? What
Right.
mindset
So
should it be?
it's all, we want to be the same in both, if possible. All right. So we want to be consistent in our life. That's how we're going to get the best results. So I've had people who, I know every time I take it, I get the same thing too, every time. So if we're acting one way at work and we're acting another way at home, we got to figure out which one is real. Which one's the act, which one's the performance, and which one is the real human. And then we go, am I brave enough to be real human in both arenas? Mm-hmm.
To your point, I took mine when I was in university, and my first one was focused, and I was like, that doesn't fit, but I had to focus. So it's in my top 10, but with my specific job search, I have positivity as one of mine, so I've been looking at this very positive, and what I did is I took it with professional Devin, my name, and personal, like how I am in my personal life, but I tried to do 90% personal, and the results I got were much more accurate than when I was in university, because it was all very analytical when I was in university, and now I have one strategic.
And I've taken something before, I can't remember when it was or where it was, but it was like, when you take this, you want to think the way you think it works.
Yeah.
Okay, push that.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah. No, in this one we don't say that. We say be you.
Okay.
Like, if it asks you if you like pickles or peanut butter, choose the one you actually like. Right? It won't ask you that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
If you like them both equally.
Put it in the middle. You go right in the middle. Because they'll ask you another question to figure out if you like spicy pickles or nutty peanut butter, right?
And
Like,
if you don't answer
yeah.
in time, then it has you start the quiz
Yeah,
over.
and actually deliberative people take a lot longer to take the assessment, where activators are very short. They answer very spontaneously. So the way people take it is also different. I have seen where people's strengths are more academic in their college years to when they actually come out into the working world, they'll kind of settle into their own strengths. Do our strengths get to be, what do you guys think? Do they get to be more of who we are as we get older, or less? More. Why do you say that? Yeah, because I have a stubborn parent who's set in their ways, right? And they just refuse to budge because they know who they are and they know what works for them, and they're just not going to do it any other way. So we actually get more settled into our strengths over time. So your strengths are more apt to change when you're younger versus when you're older. And also, anybody with adaptability in here? Yeah, so adaptability can go with this or this, right? So their results are going to be more adaptive. They're going to flex more than someone like with consistency, who is always going to be regimented, consistent every single time, never changing. Can we clap for them? Yay! I'll try to be gentle up here. All right.
And comment on that, it's not just the consistency.
Yeah.
You start, thinking about crossing all the various behavioral assessments
Yeah.
that are out there.
Yeah. It starts giving you the same picture.
Assessment looks at, where you are naturally and where you can flex to.
Yeah.
I don't flex much.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy
Yeah.
to flex.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I understand. And when change is hitting you, you go, okay, change is hitting me and I have to change, but I'm going to, grumble about it. Yeah. It's just like, it's not fun. When you have more of a structured personality, it's just not fun to change. Where the adaptive loves spontaneity, loves a change, could be dropped off in another country and say go, and they're like, cool, like I get to figure it out. Yeah.
I would also think that with the focus on inclusion and belonging in organizations.
Absolutely.
Wasn't that much of a priority
Yeah.
several years ago? It's easier to bring your whole self to work.
Yeah.
As opposed to say, this is my
That's right.
self and this is my work self.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot more acceptance today on differences and on uniqueness. And actually, there's tons of studies that show that if you have a team that looks just like you and acts just like you, then you've got tunnel vision and you only can get these set of results. Now, if you have a team that's very varied and diverse, it's complicated, it's harder because you have all these different perspectives and points of view. However, you're going to get a much more well-rounded consideration of all the things in order to make the solution or the decision that needs to be made. And it's literally been shown 30% higher return on investment. That's huge for groups, departments, companies. Pete, did you have, okay, okay. All right, can everybody see this? I know it's a little small on the screen because it is a computer program here, but these are all the people that we're gonna be talking to today that offered up their strengths ahead of the session that I got to put in here, okay? So when we look at this, there's about 13 people in this group, okay? Let me get that as big as I can. Okay, can you read it at all? How many learners in the group? 9. So that's over half of the group is learners. Normally what I see in a group is gonna be around 30% of the group. So this is really, really high in learners. Learners love to learn, they love to teach, and they love to consult. They like to master skills. Okay, so they're gonna be, so I'm a learner, I teach martial arts, I love learning the skill of martial arts, and then I love teaching it back to affirm my own learning. And I love it because the well is so deep. I can never be, the martial artist of the world. It's like there's so many different types, and so those learners love those environments. We just love to get into environments. So when I'm telling you this, I want you to apply it to your job search. If you're a learner, what does that tell you? You have to choose an environment that has a huge, deep well, a culture that has a huge, deep well, a job, something that allows you, something that like for example, I want to get a PhD in neuroscience leadership because think how deep that well is, right? And so we want to put ourselves into jobs and environments and companies and cultures that allow our learner to actually flourish and do its thing, okay? We also have 5 relators in this group. Okay, so relators like one-on-one relationships. They're very organized in their thinking. They're figuring out a way to relate. How do I relate with you? Or they say, oh, you play tennis, so does so-and-so, and they're gonna relate those things together. Or maybe it's applied to a database, okay? We got a table over here and a table over here, and we can see how they relate together. And we talked about this earlier, relators like to relate to one another. So if I have a team of 5, I have 5 people on a team, what do I might have to watch out for? Yeah, like we might be exclusive, right? You're not like us. So we're gonna go relate over here and you can just whatever, okay? So relators have to be very self-conscious, and a group full of relators has to be very conscious of excluding anybody in the group that's not like them. So if I scroll down, I can see that we have lots of individual strengths. Okay, I'm looking at this only from a top 5 perspective right now, but we also are missing some strengths on this team. So if I'm missing some of these things on this team, what could this team be missing out on? What color is it? And does anybody know what orange is? Influence. Influencers are going, how do I get that person to do this? How do I get them to do this? It's thinking about how do I get them activated? How do I get them to win? How do I get them to produce excellence? It's thinking about how do I get somebody to do something? So this team could lack influence. So in that moment, I have to go, okay, well, do we have any influencers on the team at all? We have an activator here. Let's see who it is. So we could come over here and look and go, oh, we have 2 activators. Jim with number 8 has activator, and Rebecca number 4. Where's Rebecca? There's Rebecca. How are you? So Rebecca has this eye for how to get things started. Let's get going. What are we waiting for? Why are we talking about it still? Why are we thinking about it? Let's just go. Let's just see what happens. Let's experiment, right? Nudge, 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 nudge. Like, go, 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 go. Does that sound about right? Right? A little impatient, just kind of like, what are we doing? Let's go. Okay? So they're great in bottlenecks because you slap them into a bottleneck and they're just like, come on, come on, come on, come on. Like, just stop with all this other stuff. Let's just go. We see what happens. We learn from actually seeing what happens, and then we adjust. And if we take an action and it's wrong, we just take another action to make it right. Anybody ever worked with an activator? Yes. Is it messy? She needs you. Did you hear that? She said she needs you. I love it. She said she needs her for consistency and she needs the activation. We've already got a partner, pair here. Okay, so we need to think about, do we have a business developer on our team, or is this she? Because activators start stuff. They initiate. So they could go out there and get clients for us. They could go start, or like think about system activation. Somebody comes in and I got to get them up and running on the system. As soon as they're up and running, I'm out, right? I don't want to sit there and do all the other stuff. I just want to get them going and get them started, and then I want to go do something else. Okay? What is the opposite of activator? Anybody know what would be the complete opposite? Any thoughts? No. Me and Pete are opposite of that. Deliberative. Wait, hold on, stop, let's think about this. Let's just not do this quite yet, okay? We see everything that could go wrong with this activation. By the way, I worked for an activator and I loved it, but my dad's also an activator, so I'm used to it. As a kid, it was terrible, right? Because he's just pushing me all the time, and I have deliberative. So it was just like, I'm just pushed all the time. But that push and pull is amazing, right? Because I slow him down. He's like, let's go buy this new thing. And I'm like, no, we don't need to do that. We could do this and this, and he's like, oh yeah, good point. Okay. And then at times where I'm like, I just don't know what to do. He's like, just make a decision and go. Like, just try it and see what happens. So we've got that push and pull. So deliberative and activator in strengths are completely opposite, like on opposite end of the spectrum. Anybody have both of those? Probably not. You do? That's so yummy, right? Tell us about it.
It depends on the situation. In my last position, I was definitely an activator, but I also have an analytical side. So we want to change the whole organization. Let's wait a little bit because I need to figure out who the reason is, and then I can push again. And I have this whole company. And, I don't know about this change. I don't want to do this. Others have tried this before. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Already there pushing.
Yeah.
Also do the analytics.
Right. So she's simultaneously doing the analytics, deliberating, modeling, thinking it through at the same time that we're pushing everything forward. And you have the ability to understand both sets of people. So she can understand the pushers, the ones that want to move things fast, but also the analytical people who are trying to make sure that we make the sound right decision. So she can bridge that gap. You what?
I need that for myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. I have this weird weakness of somebody told me that in the work field, I think ability to
Yeah.
dive into the details, but then go up,
Yeah.
work you and go back to the
Yeah. And so, like, that's something that we would pull out and try to exploit during a job search, right? It's like, I have the ability to do this and this, which allows me to do this. Because if it's unique and different, then we want to point that out to people, that I bring something to your organization that nobody else is going to have.
Brandy, so many jobs these days say they want someone strategic, but also someone who can roll up their sleeves and get the work done. So
Yeah.
you see that.
Yeah, and if a job says that, you have to be honest with yourself about whether you can do both. If you are a big picture thinker and you're a detail person, or are you one or the other?
Brandy. The other thing is, though, most people who write those job descriptions, they're lying. They know they can't. They know that.
It's an interesting perspective.
Being a hiring manager for decades, getting that person is very difficult. But I'm going to put it there.
Yeah.
I may find that for you.
Yeah. Yeah. The job description is the perfect match, which is never going to be the case, and anybody that thinks it is kind of just not accepting the
Here's
truth.
what you see. Men will apply for a whole lot more jobs than women because I don't beat the race.
We're getting better, right, ladies? Yes. We're applying for stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna comment on when they say, I get that a lot, be strategic and detail oriented, is what do they mean by strategic?
Yeah.
And what do they mean by detail?
Agreed.
So like mine, I have to work with, senior level management, working with their numbers. So I need to be more strategic, that I don't need to be CEO strategic.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to be strategic in their area.
Mm-hmm. Can strategy be learned? Mm-hmm. Now, certain ways of thinking, like strategic thinking, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if this, this and this and this and that, that's a certain way of doing it. And they're natural at it and they're fast at it and they end up in executive positions a lot because they're strategic and they think that way. But if you're a learner, you can learn from a strategist, you can learn strategy, and you may not be the best of the best strategist because you don't have maximizer and strategy, but you can still learn a great deal of strategy and become more strategic as you go up the career ladder. Okay. All right, let's go back to our group here, see what else we see. So if we look at this from a top 10 perspective, we also see that we have 9 learners, 6 relators, 5 intellects, okay? And when we come down here, we see that we have a few people with unique strengths. So let's look at the restorative really quick. So Angela, where's Angela? Angela's in the back there. Say hi, Angela. That was so wimpy. Can you try again? 1, 2, 3. There you go. Get you a proper welcome up here. Angela's number 1 strength is restorative, and Angela's profile is weird. Let's just throw that out there, okay? Yeah, like restorative is like an engineer, right? And then she comes behind it with the woo and the communication, which is like the public speaking side of things or the marketing side of things. So what do you do, Angela?
I'm a product manager.
She's a product manager. So do you feel like you get to use all of your strengths in product management, or do you feel like there could be even a better place for you based on your strengths?
I think,
Thank you, Pete.
I think that I can use all my strengths as a product manager. My number 6 isn't there, but I'm analytical too.
Okay.
So you use a lot of analytics to define kind of what the problem is.
Yes.
Once you solve the problem, you have to work with stakeholders and cross-functional teams to kind of communicate what your goal and what you're trying to achieve and what you need to do to accomplish it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you want to achieve it. And then in order to do that, you're doing a lot of wooing and you're doing a lot of, especially in cross-functional teams, there's a lot of harmony that you have to kind of come together. A business needs this. Engineers say you can't do that. So you have to kind of come together and bring a lot of ideas
Right.
together.
So harmony is kind of more the program management side of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The communication woo is more of the sales side of the
Yes.
things and the influential side. And then the restorative right at the top is, it's so interesting to listen to her because one of the key words for restorative, let me show you guys this. There's these strength language here. And you can see their words. What are the words that she said that's at the top of the list? It's probably hard to read, but she said problem. Twice. Mm-hmm. So if I'm really listening and I hear her say problem twice, I go, I'm wondering if she's a restorative type person or personality because she enjoys the problem. The harder, the more complex, the more difficult the problem, the more interesting it is to her.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
This is completely opposite of maximizer. Anybody got maximizer? Yeah, maximizer's like, you take care of the problem. Once it's fixed and we're high performing, then I get interested. I want to work with the elite. I want to work with excellence. I want to put golden apples on that machine. I do not want to deal with the problem. Anybody got both? That would be really rare. It's like 0% of the time. It's below 0.5% time that you would have those two. I know one person that has maximizer and restorative. They're at complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Okay, so I'll do a little comparison for you. So if I dig a hole in the ground and I plant a seed in the ground and I cover up that seed and I sing to it and I water it and I hold it and that little tiny green sprout comes popping out of the ground, which strength out of all 34 enjoy that moment the most? Developer. You're good. She's had multiple. Developers love incremental growth. That little tiny bit of growth coming out of the ground. It's just wonderful. Now it starts to grow into this tree and it gets sick and shrivelly, as brown. There's an issue with it. Who swoops in? Restorative comes in, saves the day, fixes it, gets it all better. And then what does restorative do? Goes to the next problem. Okay? Tree grows, big, beautiful tree, high-performing tree, a tree that everyone goes to look at, and the maximizer gets interested to figure out how to put little diamonds and gold and, the extras onto it so that it's magnificent. Okay? Any other questions so far? Yeah?
So, reading restorative, I mean, like 60% of those words are words I use all the time.
Are you restorative?
I have my top five. I'm sorry.
Are you restorative?
Based on those words, yeah. So based on
Do you have it in your top 10?
I'll have to look at that. I don't have
Okay.
it handy, but.
Okay.
oh, sorry.
Look at top 10.
Okay.
Look, because if you're relating with that, right? I would love to know what's in your bottom, because then I could show you the bottom one and you could be like, yeah, no, I don't use any of those, right? Because it makes me think you have it in your top 10.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I also wanted to show futuristic. Yes.
Is there a difference, is not the right word, but difference,
between like, a manager versus an individual contributor in how this
Okay.
lays out?
Right. So what ends up happening is we first come into the career world and all we care about is this. How do I perform? You guys remember that? I'm just trying to perform so someone sees me, so I do a good job, so I, figure out, navigate this world. All you care about is yourself and your own performance. The first step to that is self-assurance, right? It's all about knowing who are you, how do I become more confident, and then how do I actually use that and get out of my own head in order to perform. Once you've nailed that, y'all get more interested in other people. Some of you have like individualization. You might have been interested in other people from very early on, but most people are gonna go through this process. So then you start interacting with others and you start learning other personalities and how to adjust that and how do I be authentically myself, but at the same time cater towards what this other person needs so that I can then work well with others and collaborate well with others. Once you nail that, so you guys, I'm laying these out because you got to figure out which stage you're in. You're all in different stages. Once you nail that, you kind of go, I think I could lead this. I think I could lead this team. I think I could lead these people. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. There are things that you are not comfortable leading. How many of you want to lead an artificial intelligence team? 1, 2, 3. We got 3 leaders of AI in here. Everybody else is like, nope. How many of you want to lead a fitness class? Hey! I'm doing an event in October. You should come. And we only had 2. Did you raise your hand, Foster? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm using this because you gave it to me. How many of you would come take a fitness class from Foster? There you go, Foster. It would be fun. So what you're comfortable leading is different than what somebody else is comfortable leading. So you need to think about, what are you comfortable leading? Because that's a great indication of where you might need to be thinking about sitting. Would you be comfortable leading a group of learner and developers and trainers? Would you be comfortable leading a group of software engineers? Would you be comfortable leading a group of strategists? What is it? Children, animals, cooks? I don't know. I'm throwing stuff out there. But those are huge indicators of where you really belong, is where you feel like you could potentially lead someday. Okay, so then someone decides to lead. They have no idea how to lead, right? They've heard some things, they've seen some things, they have their own experience, and they're just gonna, potentially jump in and go. So, as a leader with your strengths, this is the crazy thing. You lead so differently than the person next to you. How this person leads is completely different how this one leads, and they're both maybe great leaders, but they lead completely differently. So all this leadership advice you get, you have to really figure out, is that how I'm gonna lead? Is that going to work for me with my people? Because the people that I'm leading are either gonna receive that well or they're not. My brother has high command. Anybody with command? I kind of want to meet. Oh, yeah, you. Which one is command? 6? Number 6?
For me,
Yeah.
command is number 3.
It's number 3? Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't remember that. Okay. So command is strong. Take control, take the reins. You could stand up here and lead the army, right? No problem. It feels good. It's a great spot. It's not intimidating at all. And they usually use language that is more commanding, you know? Even if they're being nice. Sit over here. Sit. Did you hear that? Sit over here. And it's kind of a suggestion. It's kind of not. It's like, just sit over here, okay? And you're going to feel the strength. You're going to feel the power in their language, and you're going to sit. You know, you're going to be like, yes, ma'am. Okay? They're highly influential. They are great at negotiations. They are great at sales, and they are great at conflict resolution. Okay? They have no problem with conflict. They see conflict as the first step towards resolution. And they're open, candid, and honest. It's only 5% of the population, which is why we only have one in here. So it's something that could be misunderstood because we don't have commanders all over the room. That would be an interesting world. If everyone was command, 30% of the world was command. 30%, you know, we have achiever is the top strength, 31%. Relator comes right behind it. Learner comes right behind it. They're around 28% and 27%. And then you have strategic, and then you get, you know, input and some stuff. So when you look at the strengths, they kind of lean more academically a little bit. And that's why I think we have a very highly academic globe, because a lot of the strengths are more academically. Okay, I wanted to talk about Rebecca's profile here. Okay, where's Rebecca again? Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Rebecca's creative. She's got ideation and futuristic, super creative personality. Futuristic is thinking about what could happen 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. A lot of times product managers will be futuristic, or entrepreneurs will be futuristic because they can see something that they should create. And actually, ideation and futuristic are both very entrepreneurial, naturally. And so what I also think is interesting about her profile here is this graph here. She's got 3 stacked up here. And she's all up front in this cycle. So you can think of this as a work cycle. So we got people who are good at directing, people who are good at collaborating, people who are good at ideating and innovating, and we got people who are good at organizing, we got people who are good at people management, account relationship, we got people that are good at the details, the finance side of things, the quality assurance side of things, and we've got our delivery people, people that like to get things over the finish line, get them done. Where is she sitting? Right up front, setting direction with futuristic. Let me envision what this is going to look like. Let me paint this picture for you, and let me help you see where we're going for 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. And then she comes right in behind it with all this collaboration. And it's getting people on board, getting people excited, getting people started with the activator. And then she has the creative one as well, so she can sit in a room with whiteboards and brainstorm all day long. Is that true? Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you do?
Leadership, learning, and development.
Leadership, learning, and development. That's awesome. Yeah. She got learner number 1. She's sitting right in her zone, getting to learn all day long and getting to teach other people. And it's, you know, I think about this and go, oh man, you'd be great at teaching people how to get going and get started and get out of their own head, you know, to lift them off because of the activator. And as a coach, she's activating them and getting them going and helping them, you know, take action on things. Super, super positive. When you think about the future, what is it that you imagine? What is it that you envision?
I don't know, just to make things easier to, oh, jeez.
Surprise!
I don't know, when I think about the future, there are just so many great things that are ahead. And it's like, how do we do that and help others? So, and just make it easier.
Where do you get your ideas?
A lot of times lately, my boys, you know, they're 10 and 12 and it's just a lot of fun, but just sitting outside like in the park or just, you know, observing people, you know, and what, you know, people like.
Where have your best ideas come from?
Working with technologists at a company, and they were all struggling with their interpersonal skills, and so I actually created something, and it's now a U.S. patent for one of it. Yeah, the
That's
attorney.
great.
Yeah, the attorney said they liked it because they understood it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I have like, the awards I've gotten is just because of creating new processes without people asking me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get smacked in the head.
That's awesome. She has a patent, guys. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else have a patent? That's amazing. Can I show you another one that's really interesting? Pete, can I pick on you for a minute? Look at that quality assurance. Look at that quality assurance. He's got 3 strengths in that quality assurance zone. Okay? So when you see something like that, you're going, okay, he's maybe financial, he's maybe operational, he's maybe analytical, quality assurance. You also see the focus or discipline or something like that down here. You're going, maybe it's process improvement, process improvement, good enough, streamlining processes. So here we go, learner is the consultant, evaluation is more of the detail-oriented stuff, and then the organization. And you were in operations, right, Pete? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so Pete's telling me we got to take a break here for a minute. You guys good so far? Okay, take a break, meet others, have a good conversation, and we'll come back to it, okay? Okay, shall we continue?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I would like to pull up Laura's profile. Where's Laura? Did Laura leave?
Laura Collier?
Oh, there you are. Thank you. All right. So what do we see when we look at Laura's? What's the first thing you see? Pretty green. It's pretty green. Yes. So learner, intellection, and input are the 3 academic strengths. So I'm going to talk about what's different about each one of these, because if you have all 3, they all mesh together and you feel like they're all the same. Okay? So what did we learn about learners? They love to learn how to do something. They're more of a process person. They like continuous improvement. They like to master something. And they're going to be taking something like an adult learning class, right? Some sort of class in the evenings. Or maybe they're teaching others, or maybe they're a consultant. That is typically what learners get into, or learning, training, and development, like we saw over here. Okay? Intellection is just thinking, cerebral. I just like to sit alone and think about things. Do you have think time?
Yes. If not, I make it.
Yeah. We, because I have intellection too, we make think time. And people will say, how did you think of that? And you say, well, I thought about it. Like, I actually sit and think about things. And they're like, don't you get lonely? Nope. I'm very interested in my thoughts. I mean, I like to read books, and I like to read about different perspectives, and I like to think about it, and I like to apply it to the situation. I like to apply it to myself. I like to think about things. It makes us very wise, and it just makes us someone in the workforce that people come to for perspective and paradigm and for thoughts. We're not necessarily extroverted, right? We sit and think. We're the ones who get in the car, and it's nice and quiet. And it's not quiet for us, right? I mean, we got all kinds of stuff we're thinking about, but someone else gets in your car and they feel really uncomfortable. You're like, can we play the music? You're like, sure, go ahead. I was just thinking about stuff. I was very comfortable with my thoughts, but it's a very, very introverted thing, okay? So I want to show you that in this tool, you can actually see introverted versus extroverted energy. This is where you get your energy. So if I look at her chart, I say she needs about 63% of the week to herself to think about things. The other 40% can be with others and connect with others. Does that feel about right?
Yes.
And this is good for us to know going into a new job. Like, where can I go and what can I do that gives me a certain amount of time to myself and requires me to think and requires me to come back with good thoughts, right? I want someone as an intellect to say, go think about this and then bring those thoughts back to me, please. And if I have the ability to do that, then I'm in the right place. And it also says, but you don't want to be a programmer behind the scenes by yourself all day long, because you do need to feel energized a certain amount of interaction with people. Okay? So then this gets broken down where intellection and belief are highly introverted strengths. For belief, for example, you don't need anything to believe what you believe. You believe what you believe, period. Okay? Where the other strengths in the middle are ambiverted. So when a learner is learning, it's introverted, but when it's teaching, it's extroverted. So most people think I'm extroverted because I'm up here teaching, and this is how they see me. Hate to break it to you, but this is not what I normally do, right? I go home with my 5 cats, and I curl up with a book, and I soak in, and I can do that for hours and hours. Pandemic was an introverted world. Did any? Yeah. The introverts are like, oh, well, we got a break from the extroverted world. I got to get up, and I was alone, and I got to read, and I was alone. I got to walk, and I was alone, and I got to think, and it was like, wow, this was. I mean, we didn't know what kind of world we had been living in the whole time that we were catering to until we got that introverted time, and then now we're back to the extroverted world. But yeah, it was crazy, right? Because you heard the woos and the communication, the positivities. They were like, right? They were just like, I can't take it. Yeah. 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 Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Did you hear her? She said she had to get her extroverted son counseling during pandemic, where the introvert was in 7th heaven. Okay. And it's just fascinating, right? The extroverts just need a lot of external stimulation that they didn't get during the pandemic. So in the normal world, this is great for them. Where you gotta be easy on the introverts in the normal world, because they need time to just go away, re-engage and get their energy back. Okay. Connectedness. I want to talk about the connectedness strength. Yeah, the connectors. That's right. Let me show you this one here. Let me pull up the actually, you probably can't see it. I don't even know why I'm trying to do this. But connectors are about 12% of the time in the population. So connectedness is so interesting because it's about connecting the dots. It could be like an architect who connects things if they have a lot of green and thinking around it. But it could also be someone that connects with a human, and they're really good at connecting with all walks of life all over the world with different cultures. They're the person that gets along with just about everybody. And I'm sure that you feel that way, that you can connect with anybody. You just find a way to connect. And you're all, everybody is human, and everybody is essential to the bigger picture. And it's like, you think of it like an organism, right? All of us are an organism, and we are all essential to the health of that organism. We're all connected. When something on the other side of the world happens, we pay attention over here because it impacts this. And they're the ones who really, really feel and breathe and see that ripple effect of everything. So if one person is smoking, then that smoke is going over here to these other people, and it's affecting this, and then it's affecting their lungs, and now we've got to up the health insurance, and now the city has to pay more, and now, and it's like this, everything is connected for them, okay? So they kind of float between a connection between the brain connecting the dots and then also connecting with humans, which is why it falls into the ambiverted slot here, because it has some introversion and some extroversion needs, okay? So does that ambiverted section make sense? Just want to make sure. And then there's other strengths like woo communication that are going to be completely on the left-hand side. And that calculation, by the way, is weighted from 1 to 7. So your first strength gets the highest weight, and then so on and so forth, all the way down to number 7. So it should be fairly accurate for you. Okay, I wanted to also show you this one for her. So when I look at this, I go, whew, green, 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 very academic, because she has the learner, intellection, and input right at number 6. So what's the difference for input? Input is about information. Information in, information out. Sponge soaks up the information, subject matter expert spits it back out. And it also can archive all the information. So you can ask her random questions about anything, and she's going to have an answer, because it's like she reads things, she dives into those intellectual trails on the internet, and then all of that information and everything she learns and everything she reads just gets soaked up into the brain and stays right there until she needs it. Does that sound right? for you? Yeah, because she's like, she could do a PhD easily with the input, intellection, and learner. It just, like that kind of environment would be most stimulating to her, is to have something like that that has that much information. Okay, what I wanted to show you here is that we see a lot of green here, we see a little bit of blue, and then right down at 7 and 8 we get some execution. So when somebody doesn't have high execution, does it mean they don't execute at all? No. Doesn't mean that. It means their execution is very specific. So she is going to execute around learning. If she gets to learn, she's gonna get right on it. If she gets to, read a book or listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook, like, she's gonna be executing those things, but it's not gonna be necessarily seen as the high execution that you would get from somebody who has a bunch of execution strengths. So she's coming at strategic thinking 1, 2, 3, 4 different ways, in her top 10 strengths. And she comes at execution 3 different ways, but it's a little bit lower for her. So she might not execute to execute, but rather she may execute in order to learn, gather information, or get perspective. Does that make sense? Okay. How many of you have had employees, you were manager, you had employees that just wouldn't execute? Yeah, would this have been helpful to see what they would have executed on? Because it's not that they won't execute at all, but it's going to be very specific. Where if you get an executor, okay, so if we look at the difference of my profile. That's not nice. See, that wasn't nice. You're nice. That wasn't nice. So my profile obviously is execution, 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 execution. And what's amazing to me about this is that people will still approach me and talk to me forever. And I'm like, I'm an executor. We got to do something. We got to go. We got to come up with, what are we going to do, right? Let's talk about what we're going to do. It's amazing that it's so hard, right, to get out of ourselves and understand that, I'm like this, but if somebody else is like this, then how would I need to interact with that person in order to be successful with them? Well, you're not like me, right? So how do you even know how to interact with someone with all this execution? I mean, it takes a lot of asking questions, asking everybody in here about, okay, so if you've got this, then what does this look like? I mean, how do I interact with you successfully? What questions do I need to ask you? What, if I need to give you a piece of criticism, how do I need to do that in a way that is going to be okay for you? Because it's not going to be the way that you think it's okay, the way that you would do it. So I think it's really, really important for if you have family members, children, close friends, if they're willing to take an assessment, you guys can sit down and go through this together and look at the different ways and open up that line of communication. You'll see a lot of progress in those relationships, because like we've said over and over, we're all so different. So let me back the truck up here. Now, if I had these strengths and I was maybe worried about influence or execution, and I know that, okay, obviously no sales job for you. Okay, academic all day, strategist, but no sales, like, because you start at 12 with the influencing strengths, okay? However, do you have to have influence? Yes, you have to. You have to have some level of influence. So I could click up here, and I have this cool little search bar up here now, where we could say, okay, if you had to do some sort of influence, how could you do it? All right, well, you could potentially use your learner and learn how to influence. And if you learn a process of how to influence, then you could potentially do that, what you learned, and actually have some influence. You could also put yourself in an environment where you're teaching with your learner and have influence. Does that make sense? So just because somebody can't do math like a mathematician doesn't mean they can't do enough math to get through the checkbook. Do you guys know what checkbook is? That's someday that people aren't going to know what you're talking about. So this is really helpful because it doesn't just lump you into one category that Gallup puts you in, whether you're just a thinker or just an influencer or just a relationship builder. This is looking at Some of the strengths can do some of these things, but it just might not be as much as what they're putting out there. Any questions about that? Because that's, to me, kind of interesting. So there's strengths that do it a lot, there's strengths that do it some, and then there's strengths that you're probably not going to, So the other way I think that's so useful to use something like this is to go, okay, so if I were to select attention to detail, I can see, okay, detailed people are from about 6 to 25, right? There's probably more detailed people out there, but you have some attention to detail. But maybe I don't want to choose a job that has me doing really, really detailed things. Let's see, if I do, communication and speak, we can see, which ones and how much of that you can do. So what you're looking for is white space. If the white space is at the top, stay away from it at all costs. You don't want to do anything with white space. If you have lots of dark blue up at the top, golden. Those are things that you should really be putting a lot of energy into, spending a lot of time developing and getting practice with. Okay. All right, is there anything else on hers I wanted to show you? Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So the other thing we can look at is, okay, here's her look with the top 5. She's really a strategist and a relationship builder both. But if I slip down to the next 5, I go, okay, what happens there? She gets this directive zone, she gets some delivery, she gets innovation, she gets a couple strengths there. So then what we do is we look at this and go, okay, by the way, let me explain the difference between the creative and the innovative category. So the creative is like the eccentric thought, like brand new thoughts, creative, out of the box, coming up with things that have never existed before. Where the innovation is creative, but it needs something to start with. It takes something and it innovates on it and says, oh, this would be better if, or oh, we could do this, or oh, did you know this before you make this decision? So it's an innovative category there. So she has innovation through the roof, okay? But the creative thought, the new, eccentric, out of the box, you could leave that to someone else, right? That's the one where you're like, let me find a partner that I could work with on that, okay? And then we can see here that we would have to talk about the directive zone. She's got it at number 5, so she's probably pretty strong at it. And she's got it at number 7, which then intensifies that zone because now she has 2 strengths in that zone, not just 1. So that's probably an area that we don't outsource. It's probably an area that we build and we develop for you, okay? She comes at direction setting 2 different ways. She comes at it through strategic thinking, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? Well, if this, then this, and this, and that. I see that this is going to be a problem, so I need to move this. We're going to take path A, but if this happens, we're going to take path B, and if this and this and this happen, we're going to take path C, right? That's what your brain does all day long. Yeah, it sounds tiring, right? That's what her brain does. She also sets directions through her beliefs. She believes in something. This is the right thing to do. We got to help these people. They don't have food. They don't have clothes. We need to be doing something about it. But that one is very silent. That one is, I'm going to set the example. I'm going to execute and do something about it. You can come if you want to or not, but I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. And so it sets directions through example. It's the only strength that sets it through execution. Okay? We're definitely keeping the innovative zone. We've got all kinds of strengths there. 3 and 4 or organization management, so we should probably continue to develop those and see if she wants to get in. Do you lead people? Do you manage people? Yeah, did you enjoy it?
I like teaching.
Yeah.
But the sales part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you feel like you would like leading a group of people that teach others? That would be more fun, right? Yeah. And then the evaluative, finance, quality assurance, leave that to someone else, right? And then, yeah. And then we've got the delivery strengths, which are 8 and 10. So again, this is an area where I'd be like, do you want to deliver? Do you not? Because other people are going to love this. There's people that have this in their top 3 or 4 strengths. They're going to want to execute and deliver all day long. And maybe you could understand it, but maybe you don't have to do it. Maybe we just focus you in on the front half of this chart, which is going to be primarily 1 through zone 6 for her. Okay? And everybody's charts are different. Some people are great in 3 zones all the way through. Other people spread clear across, and that makes it harder. We got to find stuff that entertains them all throughout the work zone cycle. So it's completely different and depends on each person. Okay. What do you do, by the way?
Right now I'm doing career coaching.
And how long have you been doing that?
For about a year.
For about a year. How's it going?
It's very one track.
Meaning?
It's sort of repetitive, the same.
Oh, you're bored. Because you're not learning enough.
Well, yeah, and I'm not diversifying my abilities. It's, again, just one track. If I were doing webinars on it or researching something and then coming back and presenting a topic, that would make it more interesting.
What's stopping you from doing that?
Nothing really. I mean, I think I've been spending a lot of time on trying to find a full-time role that I'm not really focused on. I'm doing that as a part-time right now.
Could she find an executor that executes that stuff for her? So all she has to do is show up and teach? That'd be great, right? Find somebody that wants to do all the videoing, all the editing, all the posting to social media, all the things, while you just show up, have your material, teach it, and go down.
Sure. I should also say that I'm not in this for myself. Like, I work for a company.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I would have to understand that better.
What do you want to do, Laura?
So my
Thanks,
focus
Pete.
now is on talent management. I want to,
Oh.
yes, I love working with people. Obviously, I'm a relator, and just I see the potential in a lot of people, and I want to help develop them, and then also create environments where they can really flourish. That's my goal.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, good. All right, thank you for sharing all of that with everybody.
Thank you.
So, yes, I also want to, oh, you know what else I wanted to, I'm so sorry I'm going to do this to you, but you're the only one who shared the full 34.
Oh, okay.
So,
No worries.
we're going to look at the bottom really quick, okay? So at the very bottom, what do we have?
Totally agree.
So two things I want to point out. One, we can go to this little outsource section and we can look at, okay, what are all the things that you need to consider if woo is at the bottom? Because of course she doesn't think about wooing. She's just not thinking about it. Her brain doesn't work that way. So she may have to go, okay, maybe I need to consider this or this or this to be most successful. What are, who are my partners? What might I need to do because I'm not going to do it, okay? So speaking of partners, we had someone with woo. Is Devin in here?
That's my number one.
Yeah, you told me that because we had personal Devin and we had professional Devin. That's right. Okay, let's see. Okay, so here's a great partner for you, right?
We get along so well. I know her. Oh, there you are.
Woo, communication, positivity are found together almost 50% of the time. So typically, if you have a woo, communication, or positivity strength, you have one of the other ones lingering somewhere nearby in the top 10. Okay, not always. Sometimes they're completely flip-flopped, but a lot of the time. So woo, communication is all about winning people over, and woo is going to these social events, and it's a social butterfly. It goes to each person around the room. It just wins them over, wins them over, wins them over, wins them over, wins them over. As soon as I win you over, I'm done with you. I go to the next one. I win you over. I go to the next you. I win you over. Yeah, that's the most fun, right? Is winning them over. As soon as you see you won them over, you're good. Yeah, you won them over. Okay. And her brain thinks about how to do that. How do I win this person over? How do I win them over to myself? How do I win them over to my product? How do I win them over to my service or my company? So us introverts want to send her out to the conference all day long, right? Please go for us. Just go talk to people all day. Her communication's off the chart. She loves to talk, loves to present, loves to teach, whatever it is that can do this out here. Now, that's actually how she learns too. So she learns by speaking. So when I'm coaching people and they have high communication, I have to take a back seat and let them talk through it. because that's how they learn. They'll actually solution everything for themselves by just, getting it out and talking about it. Okay? Highly influential, because when you are a high communicator, you're really saying who, what, where, when, why, how. You're saying that clear, concise communication so that no one misinterprets what it is that you're trying to say to someone. So that's why it's in the directive zone, because it's setting the direction through really good communication to everybody. Let me ask a question here. Have you guys met someone that you know is communication because they communicate a lot, but they're a bad communicator?
Yes.
So if I have a 5-year-old and I have a 25-year-old and they both have the communication strength, we're hoping that the 25-year-old has learned a few things along the way to create good communication. The good news is that they're motivated to do so. They're motivated to speak well. So when I'm coaching, I say, if you would like to communicate well, which of course their brain is going, yeah, I want to communicate well, okay, then you might consider doing A, B, C, D, or E, okay? So if I have a 5-year-old, they just haven't been coached yet. They just don't know how to communicate well, but they have the aptitude to want to communicate and to want to communicate well. And so as they're coached and as they learn and as they have experiences, then they can, become very, very good communicators. Make sense? Okay. Also has maximizer. So maximizer is, like we said, reaching for levels of excellence. This means she cannot work with anybody that's not excellent. Sorry, if you're not excellent. It's not true?
It's so true.
Oh, it's so true. I was like, I got it wrong?
At my last company, I had the highest performing team.
Yeah. She had the highest performing team. What was the team?
It was the global accounts division.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a project manager in the supply chain, and I was working in logistics.
Uh-huh. So she was a project manager, supply chain, logistics, had a high performing team.
Yes, that I built.
Now, you guys might be going, did you hear that? She said, the team that I built. Okay. Because the maximizer can see who is the talent and who can do what, and brings all that in onto the team to have a team of excellence. So what maximizers do is they're so interesting because they look for people that they know they can coach. So that's how they choose. They're going, these two people are both great, but I know I can coach this one. And I know I can coach this one to a level of excellence. Did you have a question, mister?
Yes.
See this big arm out?
Brandy, is Maximizer one of your top 5?
It's not my top 5. It's not even my top 10, but it is definitely higher than developer or restorative. I'm more of a maximizer than the other ones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they're also perfectionists. Right? It's just, you just are, because you really want things to be perfect. They have to learn that in order to maximize something, sometimes it doesn't have to be maximized. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because if you maximize, and all of a sudden you're spending all this time making this one little tiny widget perfect and leaving all the other stuff on the table, right? So it has to be, for them, they need to hear 80% is good enough, because for them, 80% is actually everybody else's 110. If that makes sense.
I say that to myself during the job search.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can be paralyzing, right? If you're just, trying to be...
Tinkering.
Yeah, exactly. Now, did you guys hear what she did? So this is so interesting, right? Because we've talked about her woo communication and her maximizer, and you guys are going, but she's in supply chain logistics. She's a project manager. Like, how does that fit, Brandy? If she's a maximized woo communication. Well, she has a ranger. So a ranger is the juggler. They're the ones that are going arrange, rearrange. They're flexibly organized. And they do this constantly. They don't stop. Okay? It's a constant movement. They're getting all the right people in all the right places. And they are at their best in logistics, distribution, and supply chain. And when you have maximizer, a lot of time you kind of know how to maximize yourself, because you don't worry about your weaknesses, and you don't worry about spending time and energy on things that you don't care about or don't like. You will gravitate to using your strengths. So somewhere in there, she learned my strength is in this arranger, which is the operations, and doing supply chain logistics and distribution. And then I'm going to go find a way to get teams to maximize that. And then I'm also going to be, a high communicator and set direction through the communication. Okay. And she's positive too. That's the other one, right? Super positive. So we love being led by positive leaders. What are you looking for right now?
I'm looking at staying with supply chain, but project management still. I've applied to a few analyst roles, which are going to get me to that project management.
Okay.
So I really want to be a part of a team.
Okay. Yes, that makes sense. Yep. Usually arrangers, maximizers both want to be a part of a team. So does individualization. You guys feel a little bit empty without your teams. Okay. All right. Any questions for her about her strengths? Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. Who haven't we covered yet? We haven't covered Caitlin. Is that how you say it? Caitlin? Okay.
Same chart, different colors.
Kaylin is so interesting. Number one, she has discipline. Where's Kaylin? Are you back there in the yellow? Okay.
She is.
Hey, discipline.
Kaylin has discipline number one. Does anybody know how often discipline is found? It's about 7% in the top 5. It's in the single digits. It's getting into the more rare strengths. It's all about the calendar. It's all about the schedule.
Yep.
So what they do is they write on the schedule, this is going to take 1 hour, this is going to take 5 hours, and then we back it up, right? And we're trying to make this schedule the most efficient thing we can do. And then we do it for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 30, okay? All the way down for the month, okay? We get the whole plan, and then someone comes in and screws it up.
Yep.
Twitch, right? And you're like, I had the perfect plan. Like, it was precise, it was perfect, it was laid out, it was very efficient, it was well thought out, and then someone comes and slams something onto it. And now I have to redo the whole thing. I have to redo the whole thing. Okay, so we are organized, but we are a little bit more structured organized rather than the flexible organization of an arranger. Okay, so this madness that the arrangers deal with, which is moving things around and, logistics and things changing and all, change, adapt. Us discipline are like, no, we want to make the plan and then we want to follow the plan. We're disciplined. If I say I'm going to show up, I show up. If I say I'm going to do the whole routine, I do the whole routine. I put it on the schedule, so now I'm going to do it. And it's funny to us disciplined people when someone says, oh yeah, well, we'll just do, 30 minutes. And you're like, but didn't you say you're going to do an hour? Like, you put it on the schedule, it's like, it's an hour, we're going to do the whole hour, which is very, very structured in our thinking, but that makes us very disciplined, and it allows us to stay on track and help others stay on track too. So it ends up being a project manager type of strength a lot of the time. It's also very detailed, okay? And it's also, no waste, okay, efficiency. So we a lot of times disciplined people will go into efficiency jobs as well. She also has harmony, which again gets more into the collaboration, peaceful, kumbaya. Let's let everybody around the table have a voice. We want everyone to be heard, and that way we can get all in agreement and then get out the door in agreement. So it ends up being great for like program management. So automatically when I see discipline harmony, I'm going, man, she'd make a good program manager because she's got the scheduling structured part that gives everybody the structure, but then she also has this, let's get everybody involved and engaged and on the same page going towards the schedule, okay? And then she has connectedness, which is telling me that she's connecting all parts of the business, she's connecting all the people, and she's connecting, all the dots and able to work on a global capacity and really care about humans. You've got 3 strengths that are relationship building and allow you to connect with people. We've talked a lot about the relator and then the learner. So that's kind of what I would see. And one thing I wanted to point out was how rare discipline connectedness is together. Okay, so I'm going to take you guys behind the scenes really quick. We've got about 741 results in here right now. If I take connectedness and discipline and pull it up and do a little search on that, I get two people. Where'd it go? Oh, sorry. Hold on. I got click happy there. There it is. Okay. Search. There. 2 people in the whole database with connectedness and discipline. What's 2 divided by 740? 0.000 something percent. I mean, it's really.
2 at one table that have
Are you,
discipline.
in top 5?
In top 5.
Wow. Yeah, it's really, you can see in the data, it's extremely rare. So if I did something like, goodness, go back. If I do something like, learner-relater, or learner-achiever even, right? That's probably the most common pair. You're gonna see out of 740, we have 92 results, okay? So it's so rare to have connectedness and discipline. What do you do?
I'm going into project management.
Yay!
I was a teacher.
Thank you. Okay, what'd you say?
I was a teacher for the
You were a
past 3
teacher?
years. Yes.
Yeah. You're going in a great direction for yourself, really. It's,
Thank you.
you know, are you getting your PMP?
Working on it.
Yep.
Slowly but surely.
Okay. Well, if anybody needs a PMP, she's going to be an amazing program manager. She's built for it. Okay. Anything that you guys back there would like to comment on with the discipline and the connectedness, since we never see that pair? How does it work together? What's that like for y'all?
Yeah, yeah, like you were saying, like I value structure. Structure is everything to me. And so I think it really pleases me to whenever there are the connections there, to say like, oh, like that makes sense. And like that just plugs into everything. So I don't know, just kind of,
So you're kind of saying, okay, well, I want this schedule and I want the structure, but I'm also noticing all these things and making sure they're all.
It has to make sense.
Yeah, being plugged
like if
in.
it's all, there's all these tasks out there, I have to put it in order that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to me, then I'm like, what am I doing here?
Do you find yourself revamping the schedule, or do you find yourself being more like, this is what we need to do, so we're just sticking to this?
I revamp.
You
I
revamp
would say
it
sometimes, yeah.
So the connectedness might make her more flexible than just discipline alone without the connectedness. Yeah. Yeah.
First grade. You know I'm here now.
We know she doesn't have developer. Okay.
From a business perspective, I just want to say from a business perspective, I think that's huge, because I think that a lot of times when someone's in project management, when someone's in HR, when someone's in like one of the disciplines, they don't always get the business side. And when you have the ability to understand how something impacts the business, then it's so much better than just sticking to your script or whatever you learned. And it's going to make you infinitely more valuable to the business to be able to take it that extra step. So that's huge. And that'll be a differentiator for you in the future.
I'll double down on that as a technologist that sees the connections between people, processes, and technology. I have to be that person, that mediator in between the pure technical folks and the pure business folks who can't. They have different languages.
You said something so interesting to me that I want to pull out. She's probably gonna have to talk again, just so you know. Yeah. So you said you have to. Okay, and I always key in on this word. I'm going to tell you a little story, and then you can help us understand, okay? Because when I meet with somebody, and they are the 7th child in the family, they're going to tell me, I was the 7th child in my family, and I had to mediate, right? I had to be the peacekeeper, and I had to make sure everybody's voice was heard. And then I'm going to go talk to this person over here. And they're like, I'm the 7th child in my family. And because of that, I had to be the best communicator, and I had to communicate to everybody and blah, 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 blah. And then I go to the next person and they say, I was the 7th child in the family. And because of that, some other reason. So what I found was, it's not that because of their environment, it's not because they were the 7th child. But in reality, what we were learning was their genetic makeup of how they cope with being the 7th child. So their brain is wired to say, in order to be successful in this environment, I must do this. So you're going to, when you talk to restorative people, they're going to tell you, I had to learn how to solve problems. In my job, I have to solve problems. That's what makes, and you talk to someone else and they're going to say, I have to be creative. That, I have to, my job requires it. And it's the flippant. It's That's what you bring to the table. That's how you approach it. That's how you cope with it. That's how you process it. It's actually not the environment at all. It's what you're bringing to the table innately in order to address that situation. So if we take what you just said and flip it, what is it in you that allows you to work with both sides?
Well, part of it is learner. That's top 5. So with both an MBA and a technology master's degree,
So you learned both.
I've learned both
There,
sides.
that is more accurate. It's not that you have to, it's that you have learned how to, the business side, you have learned the tech side, and because of that, you're able to bring them, the two pieces together.
Right. And having traditionally worked at smaller companies, largest company I worked for prior to Wells Fargo was 1,200 people, being the only person that could communicate across groups.
Made you very valuable.
I was the person that everybody came to.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we need to know about this. Oh, go ask Sally.
Right. Yeah, it makes complete sense. Any other thoughts? Okay, let's back this train up again. Who haven't we talked to that's in this group yet?
Madeline.
Madeline? Did we do you, Maddie? No. Not yet? No. Okay. Whoa.
I want to see
Whoa. So adaptability is one we have not talked about a lot yet. Adaptability is go with the flow, super chill, laid back, can go over here, can be this, can do that. They actually take pride in being adaptable. So if you say, hey, can we go here for lunch? They're like, of course, because they want to be adaptable to what you want. Like they take pride in being able to be flexible, adaptable. What to me amazes me about them is that if a change happens, they're right here. Change happens, they're here. You're like, that didn't affect you at all. They're like, that was exciting. That was fun. That was interesting. It was spontaneous. Something happened. And they're just on the new train. Like, doesn't take them any time at all to just flip over to whatever is required of them in that moment.
Yes.
Yes. What kind of jobs do adaptability people tend to excel at? What jobs require someone to be highly adaptive?
Yes.
Yeah, but let's scale them. Let's take every job and put them on a scale. What are the ones that require high adaptivity? Customer service, because you have a customer call and you got to answer the phone and you got to take care of them right in the split moment. Consulting? Could be. You might have some time to prepare for consulting. Entrepreneurship. Well, yeah, good God, right? That's a whole nother life. Uh-huh.
A lot of tech jobs too.
Yeah, tech jobs, but we still have some time to change, right? I mean, things are coming and we can kind of change and learn and we can adapt. What about a paramedic? First responders are huge for adaptable people. Policemen that are getting called in the middle of the night, paramedics, somebody that has to just literally jump on it right in the moment. Mm-hmm. A trader? Maybe. I don't know much about that one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe not the planner part, but the actual event in itself, the responsive person, right, that's responding to the problems. And you will see a lot of adaptable people. So I do a lot of teamwork, so I get to see what different teams look like. And when I do a customer support group, everybody's adaptable in there because they're having to respond to these customer problems immediately at all times of the day, and they need to not mind it. They need to actually enjoy it. And so
What about the military people? Did we say that one already?
well, that's really broad, right? You could have totally different types of jobs. There you are. I'm like, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Yeah, so it would depend on what kind of military job. Now, I think what you're referring to is someone that's in the military that's going front line, so having to respond to something right in the moment to not die, right? I mean, yes, you have to be extremely adaptive. Policemen, too, a lot of times they'll have high adaptability. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then she has the connectedness. So now we have somebody, and by the way, I didn't even show this off yet. This is so cool. there is a place in here that shows the connections. So if we read her adaptability and her connectedness squashed together, okay, it says you live in the present moment. You approach connection, reassurance, and healing flexibly, and you adapt to last-minute changes intelligently. Connectedness are usually healers and spiritual. Like they just, they're connected to that overall big picture. Because we are all connected, you see each moment as an opportunity to serve humanity. You are confident that everything happens for a reason and that the future is created by the choice made today. You embrace the opportunity to adaptively connect talents, actions, missions, successes, etc., to bridge global cultural gaps and to create a sense of community. You naturally counsel, lead teams, and help people feel important, and you look forward to change and the sudden unforeseen detours that arise when working with people. Does that resonate?
Yeah, fairly accurate.
Yeah, so tell us more about it for you.
Okay, well, I was a teacher. And I ended up, my most recent was special education and math, and I always had people, adults, students, like in there for counseling. And everybody always told me you should be a guidance counselor. But it's a lot because you can also see my number 4 is empathy, and empathy can be a really heavy thing.
You take it home at night, you feel it, and your energy can get completely zapped by what is happening with someone else.
Yeah. And then there's also positivity. So all these people with their negative emotions, with all of their problems, everything that they're seeking my guidance, they're seeking, I'm like, I'm 30 years old. I don't know anything, but I can tell you it's going to be all right. Like, I can tell you, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, I'll say all the nice things. I don't even know that they're coming out of my mouth, but they do. And people keep coming back, and I'm like, leave me alone, but I'm too nice to say it.
Now, what if they were bringing you positive energy?
That I could deal with. Where do I find it?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what I work with people with high empathy positivity. That combination is really interesting because they have to be in a positive environment. You fuel off of positivity. That's what the positivity piece is. People with restorative empathy are great with problems and empathy. Okay, but people with restorative positivity empathy need positive feelings, positive emotion. They're great at user experience, where you are helping someone feel good about what is happening. And so what I've learned about empathy positivity is they bring us positivity. I mean, we feel so good from them because they know how to push feelings out and they're positive. And so it's just this flood. And so we gravitate to you because we're like, we feel so good around you, right? But some people are like going to suck the life right back out of you. Again, they don't realize you know.
I won't show it.
Yeah. And then what happens though is, let's say her energy does get low and she is really upset about something because she's had all this negativity in all day long. She'll recluse because she cannot push negative energy on others because of this positivity empathy. So now she recluses, but what she needs is what? What does she need to be filled to the brim?
Positivity.
And relationships. Look at all that blue. She needs the interaction. She needs the relationships. She needs, the back and forth between people. But it's this really hard thing when you do get low or sad because you go like this when actually you need your people around you. So it's really important for people like her to find her one-on-ones, her buddies, her people that she knows she can be negative with, but it doesn't impact them. And they don't feel negative because of her negativity in that moment, for example. That way you have your connection, but at the same time you can re-energize much quickly, by being around your crew, your pals, right?
So in general, what should she gravitate?
I have my ideas. Let's ask her. What do you gravitate to?
That's
the question?
I don't know. That's why he's asking for me.
So let's ask the crowd. If you saw a profile like this, I know we got some really smart cookies in here that work with people a lot. What would you recommend to her with high adaptability, high connectedness, super positive, deep empathy, and strategic? So we've got HR, we've got teacher. What'd you say? So when I see event planners, they have far more execution in them. They have a lot of purple in them. She's somebody who could sit with people all day long and talk all day long. So like a coach, in a way.
Especially in a customer experience environment where she's teaching agents or somebody else where she can evoke that positivity.
Right, customer service could be really interesting because it's engaging with people. Now, I would be very like, what kind of customers? Cranky customers? Or customers who are excited about buying something, right? Tesla customers would be way more fun, right? They're buying their new Tesla. This is exciting, right? Versus, somebody whose computer broke and they're calling you and trying to problem shoot. Could be PR, but she's not really let me push stuff out to people like a influencer, as well as you'll see in the PR, you'll see high communication, high woo type stuff, but you'll also see like includer, where they're like, they're just really good at hitting the masses. Now, connectedness will kind of do that, so that's an idea, right? What else? Yeah. So when I work with recruiters, they have lots of execution because they're very tactical. They have a lot of paperwork and administration. So we're trying to get a little bit more towards just human interaction.
I was thinking when I was going through career development, with either like kids who are trying to go
That's interesting.
college, what am I going to do when I grow up, or also employees who want to get promoted within the company.
Yeah.
It's recommended learning. What do
Right.
they want to do? They want to go.
Right. Positive, happy, fun, good stuff, right? Where you get to work with people all day long.
Sustainability.
What do you mean by that?
Sustainability United Nations, global.
Interesting.
I was thinking of partnership, maybe between a communicator, because you'll help influence the message that's going to be communicated.
Okay.
Add some positivity to it.
I was thinking something. What's the diplomatic strength? I think it's harmony is the diplomat, right? You have harmony? Maybe United Nations, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe instead of with the UN, something in, just in.
Is it highly political?
Yes, that's level.
Yeah.
The UN level, yes, but not.
Yeah.
Global or corporate. Yeah, you can do it at the corporation level and achieve sustainability, and you have to have empathy. You need to be positive.
And I'll give you guys another example of this. When I was working with somebody who had this type of strength set, she wanted to work one-on-one with people. She wanted to do people all day long. She wanted it to be positive. And she had input. She was a little more scientific in her way of thinking. So we went with nutritionist because that got to sit there and work with people and get them all the good knowledge and food and stuff they needed through her input, but it allowed her to work with people all day long, but on a positive way instead of a negative way. So that was another one.
And what's harder, we're doing a big health and well-being month.
Yeah, well-being. Well-being could be super interesting for her, right? Because she could lead well-being programs, which are strategic in nature, but they bring all this positive, good, healthy stuff to the entire organization. Yeah.
I was gonna say career coach.
Yeah.
because People want to be there, and she gets to try to help them grow.
Yeah.
I want to be there, they wouldn't be.
Yep. It's part of why I do what I do. It's because I want to work with high performers and I want to be positive and I want to, be opportunistic instead of, focused on a lot of the problematic stuff.
DEI.
Sorry?
DEI.
Yeah. The diversity, equity, inclusion.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Did that help? Getting
Yes.
some ideas from the crowd?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
All right. We also haven't talked to, how do we say it, Millicent? Millicent? Where are you? There you are. Okay. I love your strengths, Millicent. I'm super excited to talk to you today. You have the 4 quadrants, okay? We haven't had a 4 quadrant yet, have we? Is this our first one? So does it matter if you have 2 quadrants, 3 quadrants, or 4 quadrants? Doesn't really matter. What matters is that you know it and that you are maximizing it, whether you have 2 quadrants, 3 quadrants, 4 quadrants. So when we look at yours, Millicent, it's you need to do something where you get to think, you need to do something where you get to execute, you need to do something where you get to build relationships, and you get to influence. You can't leave any of those off the table or you're going to be missing a little piece of you. Okay, so it has to be an arena where you get to do all of them. So the maximizer is excellence, and it's the number one for her. Excellence is everything. I'm trying to push a thought to your brains. What have you heard in your companies? There is a what in your company? A center of, okay, a center of excellence. You lead center of excellences. You got to figure out what that is and where that is, but that, when you have maximizer number one, you're going to be coaching others, you're going to be seeing excellence, you're going to be taking, either teams or groups or departments or companies to reach that level of excellence. That is your eye. That's what you can see. So you should always be part of the centers of excellence in some capacity. And there's different ones, right? Across the company, there's ones for operations, there's one for sales, like there's different centers of excellence, but that's, where you're going to feel really, really good. Okay, so then she has the connectedness. We have a lot of connectors in here. Maybe it's because we're in this connected community environment and we're attracting all the connectedness people in here. That's my last one, by the way. It's 34 for me. So it's, I'm not saying I don't belong, but no. So the connectedness is, obviously what we talked about, either connecting with humans or connecting with thoughts or connecting something. Do you want to share with people how you feel like you use connectedness plus the maximizer together? Uh-huh. Can you see if the mic can flip on so we can hear you, Chica? Yeah. Yay.
Okay, good.
Now we can hear you.
I am a collaborative leader, so I'm all about bringing the team together to really improve performance and accountability. I'm a maximizer because whenever I step into a role like now, I'm already thinking about how can I position that department to win an award. Brandon Hall Awards is my goal, is to, I've already received an award for one team, but I'm all about improving performance, looking at the metrics. That's the analytical side of me. I'm looking at how can I increase engagement. So I'm all about, yes, the goal itself. Connectedness, yes, because I'm all about the teamwork part of it. Yes.
Yeah, so you believe in community and you believe in then also helping that community reach levels of excellence in their performance, which is the maximizer connectedness. She's also got the academic strengths of intellection and learners, so we know she's going to be have a lot of perspective. She's going to be reading a lot of books. She's going to be bringing a lot of wisdom to the team. We also know that she's heavy on process improvement because of the learner. So she's going to want everybody to continuously learn and continuously get better and master whatever it is that they're engaged in. You said you have a new team?
No, I'm saying in my previous role.
Yeah, what was your previous role?
Learning and development.
It was learning and development.
Yes.
Okay. And then she also has belief. Can you share with us a little bit about that? How does the belief drive you forward with maybe setting direction for the team?
I guess belief would be more about my faith.
Yeah.
And it's more about the meaning. When I know my meaning is something relevant, close to me, that drives me even more so.
Can you work somewhere you don't believe in?
I've never been in that space.
She's never chose it. Yeah.
I've never been in that space. I'm not sure it's by choice, but usually I'm looking at the bigger picture. How can I bring value?
Yeah.
And how do the core values and the culture tie into my personal beliefs?
That makes sense. Any questions for Millicent on her strengths?
I think there's an area maybe she hasn't explored, like customer experience center or executive briefing center, where you're having to bring your top customers and need somebody that can give that feedback and run that program. I think there may be an opportunity.
Okay. Anything else for her? Any questions from you, Millicent? No?
I would like to know, in this, when you look at the 5 strengths there, how can I improve as a leader?
So there's a cool area in here that's called, let's see here. Why don't I see it? I don't see it. That's super weird. Maybe it's because I signed you up. Let me go to mine really quick. It's this. Yeah, so I'm a Gallup certified coach. One of the biggest questions people get when they took the assessment is, now what? What do I do with the assessment? So I created this web application that sucks in the strengths, and everything you see in here is stuff that I've been working on for years and years and years. Yeah, to try to help people get the exact information they need in order to use it. Okay, and it's available to individuals, professionals. It's also available to team leaders. They can put their whole team in here. And yeah, so there's one called Perspective in here that will give you some perspective on each strength around like what may work for you but may not work for someone else. Okay, so for example, with maximizers expect a level of excellence, right? They expect a level of excellence, which is good because that influences all of us to step up to become more excellent. However, some people don't want to be excellent. And so as a maximizer, we have to realize that some people don't want that. Some people aren't trying to get there. They're not trying to do that with their life. That's not at all what they care about. So in order to help maximize that person, it might be to not actually help them reach levels of excellence, but try to figure out what would be okay with them or for them. So there's certain things on each strength that you have to look at and say, just because I'm a connector and I want to be a community and I want us all together doesn't mean everybody else does. Some people want to be independent and some people want to work in a silo by themselves. And that might not be what's great for the overall group in some ways, but maybe there's a way to leverage that. Maybe there's a way for that to be okay. So it's thinking through things like that, right? Just because I'm like this and I think it's best and this works for me, and it's always, what might be the way that someone else sees it that is different, not like me, but might be still acceptable, even though it's not necessarily, the way I see it. And that's the intellection, right? It's just looking at all the different sides of things to really figure out what would be best in that exact moment. Yeah. That's a brief answer. Same with belief. No, not everybody's going to believe what you believe. So that's tough when you get a team that maybe there's people that believe what you believe. By the way, she's going to believe in maximization. She's going to believe in connecting. She's going to believe very strongly in thinking and perspective. She's going to believe in learning and teaching and development and growing. Those are part of your beliefs, part of your values. But if someone around you doesn't have that, then how do you successfully interact with that person? Even when they don't have the same belief set that you do. Yeah, that's challenging. Okay. All right, how we doing, guys? It's 11:48, which means we're almost done. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else on here that we haven't looked at? I haven't been keeping track very good. Yep. Okay, let's do Kathy really quick. Okay. So where are you? Here's Kathy. Okay. I'm so glad. I was like, where is my focus person? I was waiting for that. Okay, so we talked about learner. Have we talked about responsibility today? No. Responsibility people are a third of the population, and they thrive on responsibility. So they love taking responsibility. They love meeting the commitment, being dependable, and this makes them great in client interactions because they're going to tell you, I'm going to do this, and then they do it, and they do it on time, and they do it with high quality, and we can count on them all day long. What could be hard for a responsibility person? They feel like they're responsible for everything and they could take on way too much responsibility. So for the responsibility people in the room, it's really important that you say, I'm responsible for this, I'm not responsible for this over here. And then don't be responsible for that. Let someone else be responsible. Let them be accountable. Let them own it. You just take on the things that you're okay being responsible for, and learning boundaries around that so that you're not taking on too much because you love responsibility. Responsibility is so fun, but you don't need to be responsible for everything. Okay. We've talked about individualization, focus. Who has focus? Anybody besides Kathy here? A few of you? Oh. This is Kathy D, is that right? That's not you. Where's Kathy D? Oh, she's back there. Okay, sorry, Kathy. I'm getting the Kathys wrong. I might not have yours in here then. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I added them or not. I get like 100 emails a day, so it might have slipped through the crack. I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry. This is you. Is this you? Yes. This is you. Okay, great. Okay, so focus is, I have a goal, and nothing else matters. Just the goal. And it clears all distractions, and it completely beelines, and it has darkness out here, and it's just the goal until the goal has met. Is anybody married to a focus? Anybody got a brother or sister? And they get laser focused in on something, and you're like, hello, hello. And they're like, nope, not until I beat the goal, not until I finish the goal. I've got to get the goal. Once I have the goal, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna look around, I'm gonna breathe, and I'm gonna say, what's going on? What do you need me for? What can I do? But they get completely laser focused in on the goal. Anything that comes up a distraction is like, no, we need to stay on track. That has nothing to do with meeting the goal. We need to meet the goal. Does this resonate with you, or does this? Absolutely. Oh, okay. I couldn't
Pete's
tell.
got focus as well.
Is that what it is? Yeah. 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 I'm like, hello. Okay. Now she also has consistent focus. That's intense.
Wow.
We haven't talked about intensifiers today. When you have certain strength pairings, you're very intense. And when you have focus and consistency, it's really intense because you're focused on consistency now, right? Focus intensifies everything around it. And now you're consistently focused and you're focused on consistency. It's a beast. I mean, it's really, really, really strong. Consistency, by the way, is the one that cares about fairness and equality and all of us having equal opportunity. It's the one that's going to see when something is not fair at all. And it's the one that's going to be like, if we want to be consistent every day, then we need to eat this every day, and we need to watch this every day, and we need to do this every day. It's got a lot of balance and in its yeah.
Something into my interviews so that I can talk about each one of my top 5 strengths.
Yes.
And I don't know what to do with this one.
Uh-huh. What is your profession?
Technical writer.
Technical writer. Okay. So do you have some examples of when you've had a very large set of things to write that might have even been a bit overwhelming to a lot of people because it was a very large project, and you were able to just zone in, focus, and write nonstop for long periods of time? It's kind of dangerous, by the way. They forget to eat, and they forget to drink water, they forget to go to the bathroom. Yeah. But, you know, do you have some examples of that?
I do.
Yeah, so that's what I would share is like, if you know, we have this huge project, I would tell them I thrive on that, right? I thrive in a time when there's a large goal, we have a lot of work, and I have to crank through it and stay focused and be not distracted. She's not up talking, right? She's not the one that's up over at the water fountain having a conversation with somebody. She's heads down, focused, can't even hear what's going around, or just lasered in on what it is that you need to accomplish.
A little story about that?
Yeah.
A company was going under. People were leaving left and right, and I was focused on getting that document published.
Yeah.
And somebody came to me and said, Kathy, you're the only one that's working.
Yeah.
Well, I got a book to publish.
Yeah. And it's really, what's really hard about people with focus is if they get a goal, you can't get them off of it. You know, it's just like, I can't pull you. I literally just have to go, just let her finish. Like, even if it's not the right thing to do anymore, like she's got to finish. She cannot live without finishing that goal. Don't you guys wish you had some of that? How many of you have fitness goals that you don't
Some of
stick
it
to?
is the key thought there.
Say it.
Some of it.
Some of what?
You wish you had some of it.
Oh, yeah, no. No, I know. It's a curse too, right? Yeah, my brother has it too, and he said it's a curse for him because he just gets so laser, and he has command, and he has maximizer. Okay, so it's just like, super, super, super intense.
So question on that.
Yeah.
There's a subsection of ADHD that's hyper-focused. So how does focus and ADHD mix?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one. There's a lot of how many forms of ADHD are there?
I've seen 5 or 7.
Yeah, and I don't know well enough to probably stand up here and talk about the different forms of ADHD and how it maps back to strengths. Yeah.
I've been
That's the
accused of
second time
that.
I got that question though today, huh?
I can say something about ADHD and focus. That happens when someone with ADHD actually has something that they're super interested in. They can laser focus on it and not be distracted. Anything else that they're not super interested in, constant distraction.
There's a great book called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And it describes all the different types of ADD and ADHD and anxiety and depression. And it shows the brain under drug abuse, OCD, just all the things, okay? And it shows what parts of the brain are overreacting, underreacting, and what is actually, going on. And so sometimes you're getting hyper-focused, sometimes you're getting a lack of focus, and it all depends on what part of the brain is doing what, and you're gonna have multiple parts of the brain doing multiple things. So it's very complicated to get into these topics. And it's a great book though, because it will also show you nutritionally what you should be doing if you have some of these tendencies. It has self-quizzes in it, and it also has supplements, workouts, medication, therapies for everything, for every individual variance of all these different things in the book. So it's really, really helpful. It's called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Daniel Amen. And we actually have an Amen clinic here in Irving, Texas. So if you want, spend a couple grand to go get a brain scan and figure out, what supplements you should be doing. Remember, we're trying to decrease the rate of decline of the brain, right? So it has a whole 6-month program or something behind that too, that clinic. Was there another hand?
I got a funny text from my wife. She said, "Were you ever diagnosed with ADD?"
Interesting. She's over there thinking about something. Yeah. Okay. Are we time up?
We are.
Any other follow-up questions here? I hope this was helpful to you guys today. Yeah. Good. Good?
Oh, you're looking at me like I'm supposed to be talking.
I'm just saying, is there anything else we need to do?
Guys, it's always absolutely top shelf with Brandy. So let's give her another round of applause.